Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. All I know for sure right now is that I would not want to be Mark Rober right now. Luminar stock, ticker LAZR, was up over 27% today. Now, if we zoom out for the 5-year chart, you will see that Luminar stock has been steadily trending toward zero. No worries, we're not going to spend too much time on this because it's been covered ad nauseum over the weekend. SMR already put a video out about it. Meet Kevin did 2 videos on the topic, and it's been all over X. I just want to add a few things I found interesting, and I wanted to say that a few months from now, this is likely going to be a nothing burger. Anybody that was misled by the video and now thinks Tesla's FSD is doomed, those folks will be proven wrong when unsupervised launches later this year. And then once there are tens of thousands of Cybercabs on the streets, this video from Mark will be totally irrelevant. Now sure, if you want to argue LiDAR will be needed for inclement weather, specifically snow and fog, that's fine. But to suggest that Tesla needs LiDAR to solve for normal weather driving is quite foolish in my opinion. Now, is it worth Tesla pursuing Mark and Luminar for this video? I don't know, probably not, I would say honestly. I would of course like there to be some ramifications for the joke of a stunt that this video was, because let's call a spade, this was not any sort of test. It was not scientific, this was not a real scenario, it was incredibly misleading, FSD was never used, and so on. In fairness to Mark, in the video description, he did say that Luminar provided the vehicle for testing purposes, but no compensation was given, and this was not a paid promotion. As you saw from the Luminar stock chart, they are mostly a failing company. They're losing about $70 million a quarter, and wouldn't you know it, they're set to report their first quarter earnings this week on March 20th. And yes, there were other weird, dishonest things from this video, like the iPhone reflection if you look at the screen, when in the video itself, it looks like he actually edited the phone to be a Google Pixel. Some of you may remember a charity crowdfunding campaign that was founded by Mark Rober himself and a few others. Well, that campaign to clean up the ocean got a $4 million donation from tech entrepreneur Austin Russell. Mr. Russell also happens to be the founder of Luminar. Just so you know, Luminar has been trying to come up with different videos and testing scenarios to prove its superiority compared to what Tesla's doing, as they have videos and clips like this back from 2022. At the time, based on this video, people would have said, oh, look at Tesla, they're so dangerous, their autonomous driving features are no good at all, and fast forward 3 years, and that is clearly not the case. There's also the narrative out there that because regular autopilot actually was disengaged when the car drove through that fake wall, some people started saying, see, Tesla is deceptive. They automatically disengage autopilot, so those accidents don't count in the autopilot crash statistics. But a simple trip to Tesla's website would disprove that immediately. In their methodology, they say, we count any crash in which autopilot was deactivated within 5 seconds before impact. So no, autopilot automatically disengaging before an impact does not mean Tesla is up to something deceptive. This is all hilariously ironic because in Q1 of last year, Luminar said that Tesla was the largest customer for its sensors in the first quarter, accounting for more than 10% of its total revenue of $21 million. So Luminar's founder, who is clearly buddies with Mark Rober, was obviously trying to use Mark's influence to shift the narrative around Luminar and thought it would be wise to defame its largest customer, Tesla, in the process. Elon will find out about this, and I'm guessing that Tesla may be going elsewhere to find a LiDAR for its fleet validation vehicles. But again, the question becomes, will this be a time when Tesla feels it's necessary to put its hardcore litigation department to work? This was a group that Elon said would directly initiate and execute lawsuits. Remember, he said looking for hardcore street fighters, not white shoe lawyers like Perkins or Cooley who thrive on corruption. There will be blood. I did see plenty of people saying how disappointed they were in Mark and how much they loved his videos, but it's kind of been out there in the open that he is somewhat of a sellout now for years. Back in 2018, he had to issue an apology after parts of his viral glitter bomb videos turned out to be fake. He said, "I put a feeler out for people willing to put a package on their porch, and this person volunteered to help, who is a friend of a friend. To compensate them for their time and willingness to risk putting a package on their porch, I offered financial compensation for any successful recoveries of the package." He literally said, "I'm really sorry about this. Ultimately, I'm responsible for the content that goes on my channel and I should have done more here. Having said that, I know my credibility is sort of shot. I should have done more. Full stop." Another thing, you would think that a guy that brags about being an engineer would care about the details, but in his post showing some of these unedited clips, he said, "My feet weren't touching the brake or gas." Well, in case you forgot, Mark, there is no gas in a Tesla vehicle. It's called the accelerator. And to me, that's barely the tip of the iceberg, because this guy was trying to get autopilot activated seconds before going into this wall at over 40 miles per hour. So best case scenario, what would you expect the outcome to be? Like, why wouldn't he give a lot more runway and have autopilot engaged for a longer period of time? You can see he tries to put it on seconds before going through this fake wall. There's a lot more to the story, like how Luminar was promoting this very video right on their website, but they have since taken that down. Like I said, I don't want to waste too much of your time here. There's plenty of other content about this if you're interested. And I'm quite confident that 12 or so months from now, this video will be squarely on the wrong side of history. It's important to me that I at least inform everyone here about the fact that since 2017, internet service providers have been allowed to sell your personal data to basically whomever. One way to combat this and ensure your family stays protected is with Surfshark, a VPN that encrypts your online data. This just means that your ISP can't actually read any of your online data. Your data is routed via VPN servers, so your ISP has no idea what sites you're looking at, where you're doing it from, or for how long. Surfshark is the sponsor of this video, but there's good reason it's become such a household name. Surfshark has a no logs policy, meaning not even Surfshark can see your online activity. They offer 24/7 support if you need it, but truly, the user interface is as simple as it gets, so even if you're not tech savvy, it's a breeze. Plus, one account will work for an unlimited number of family devices, and if you travel like Ashley and I, it can help you get better deals on flights and hotels. And once you realize what's actually happening with our privacy, or the lack thereof, in 2025, Surfshark becomes an easy, affordable, no-brainer decision in my opinion. So if you want to check it out, you can head to surfshark.com/electrified for 4 extra months free. The link is below. We got an exciting report from Keys, our local expert when it comes to EU regulations for autonomous vehicles. He said, instead of Tesla waiting for the UNECE regulations to catch up, Tesla is using a regulatory loophole, the Article 39 exemption under EU law. If approved May of this year, the first rollouts will not start in Germany, France, or the UK. Instead, Keys believes the Netherlands will be the first since approval is done by the RDW, and other EU countries can choose to accept the Dutch approval before full EU-wide clearance later in the year. If this happens, that would mean Dutch Tesla owners would be the first in Europe to get supervised FSD, and after that, a phased rollout across Europe could start as early as Q3 this year. Keys did say Article 39 approvals are provisional, requiring a member state's approval authority. Article 39 allows manufacturers to introduce new technologies that may not yet fit existing regulations, provided they prove equivalent safety and environmental performance. Basically, the Netherlands could grant a provisional approval for FSD. At that point, the approval would only be for the Netherlands unless the European Commission formally authorizes it for use across the EU. If that were to happen, then across the EU, that would be valid for at least least 36 months to allow for regulatory adjustments to the broader UNECE, which right now is the limiting factor for FSD across the EU. And this Article 39 exemption is built for cases like this. The European Commission said technologies not foreseen by EU vehicle rules like automated driving. These can be approved via an EU exemption procedure. To conclude, if this exemption is granted, which could happen as soon as May, then we could see unsupervised FSD rollout in the Netherlands. And remember, after that, other EU countries could choose to accept the RDW's decision and allow Tesla to operate in their markets before full EU approval, but that is voluntary. Of course, there are no guarantees that this happens, but I did find it to be a source of hope, even if it's small, given that waiting for the UNECE to get its ducks in a row may take much longer than everyone is hoping for. So at the very least, I think it's encouraging that Tesla is pushing ahead, doing whatever it can, looking for loopholes to bring FSD to the EU as soon as possible. On FSD in China, Tesla is now offering a free trial of FSD for 30 days, starting today, for any owners that have the required hardware and software, which for now would be AI4 and the latest software update. I mean, there's gotta be some double-sided adhesive tape under that cup, right?
来，给我刹车！我操，还上吗？
刹你！
上！
这是一点
我
儿不带刹，
操，有病啊！我操！
一点儿都不带刹的。
我操，我有点怕！我靠，这旁边都是大坎子！我靠，有病！我操！
现在不是有点跑了？现在我们怎么走黑的外地？
等一下，这边有个大。
So yeah, the FSD testing in China may be a cut above that in the West so far, and this video proves that as well. Basically, FSD was turned on in this giant dirt lot, and FSD had to find its way back to the road. Over the weekend, we had the rarest jewel of all, a legacy media outlet putting out a positive article about Tesla's FSD. It really is crazy that a statement as simple as this next one is so refreshing. While GM and Ford's ADAS, Super Cruise, and Blue Cruise are very good, they are not at the level of Tesla FSD. Brooks said, FSD is the game changer. No other US-based automaker can match it, in my experience testing various ADAS. I really enjoyed the title too. It was Steering Clear of Tesla, You Might Miss the Future of Driving. Personally, I would replace might with will. Munro Live put out a new video with Franz and Lars talking about the Cybercab and the Robovan, or the Robovan. Lars told us that Cybercab equipment for manufacturing is being installed in Austin right now. There will be the first prototype builds coming out this summer, and then Tesla is still on track to launch production of the Cybercab now in the early part of next year. And if you've been following along, you may have picked up on the fact that the timeline for Cybercab production is continually being brought forward. Just recently, the official word was the Cybercab would enter production in 2026, although it could be as late as 2027. And now the word is early 2026.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about the construction, so this is primarily following our unbox process that we talked about before.
Yeah.
So we have a big rear casting, a big front casting. We have 2 hot stamped door rings that kind of make the side shell.
Okay.
And those are actually laser welded together, or they will be. And so then we assemble all of those with all of the subcomponents, like the interior trim, the motors and everything, and then we bolt them all together. Then the exterior panels are using the rim technology I sort of alluded to before, where we inject the PU on the backside of either a PPA, TPO, PCABS part.
Yeah, right.
And then we ultrasonically weld it to an inner that's glass filled or carbon filled, injection molded. So we have a lot of different processes going on, but all of them are kind of in the vein of just trying to make one part one time.
Yeah.
Like not put it in, take it out, post-process it,
Right.
like clean it up, weld it, stamp it again. So just like you said, all day long, we're going to put a panel in, take it out. We're going to put the casting in, take it out. The castings aren't even going to be painted on this. We've done work with our materials team. We've got corrosion under control. You don't have to worry about it. The only thing that you're going to see some paint is on the hot stamped door rings. We're just going to have this little bit of black here. And that's primarily for corrosion protection of the boron steel.
Yeah, well,
but you only put the paint where you need it.
Then I'm really certain that this car is gonna sell like hotcakes.
We also learned that Tesla is aiming for under a 50 kilowatt hour pack in the Cybercab, and they still want to get close to 300 miles of real world range, which means if they can pull those numbers off, that would be close to 6 miles per kilowatt hour, which would certainly be industry leading. Right now, the Lucid Air Pure would lead the pack for production vehicles at around 5 miles per kilowatt hour. And that tidbit that the castings of the Cybercab will not need to be painted is one more reason to believe Tesla will make this vehicle at a cost of goods sold that is significantly lower than anything we've seen before from Tesla. As expected, there's likely going to be many Wall Street analysts lowering their expectations for Tesla's Q1 deliveries in the days ahead. Mizuho just did exactly that, but they said the sales woes of Tesla are a result of deterioration in geopolitics, brand perception, share loss due to stronger competition in China, and softer than expected demand for the Model Y refresh. I mean, again, I just don't understand what's going on here. Now we have an analyst not at all mentioning anything about the changeover to the new Model Y. By this point, if it's not clear why most of the time I skip over these analyst updates, then I would just say respectfully, you're probably not paying attention. It's like, to the analyst, this is not hard, guys. On the Q4 call, Tesla told us the changeover will result in several weeks of lost production in the quarter. So if we assume that, call it 25,000 Model Ys are produced every week, if you assume 3 weeks of lost production, that's 75,000 units right there. Just keep that downward pressure in mind over the next few weeks. And FYI, there was a report, but it was from Electric, so be super careful with this one. But the word was that Tesla halted Cybertruck deliveries as people were complaining about metal sides falling off. As far as I can tell though, this is just for a handful of deliveries, maybe under a dozen or so, and it's for this part of the Cybertruck. The technical term would be the cantrail trim. A senior Tesla executive is now saying Tesla will step back from the EV price war with the new Model Y, saying it's going to launch with a more stable pricing strategy, at least in Australia. Tesla's country director acknowledged the updated Model Y faces increasing competition, particularly from cheaper Chinese EVs, and recognized the need for Tesla to remain competitive. So the word is Tesla Australia appears set to abandon its long-held practice of frequent price adjustments, including for the new Model Y. He said, "I really think we've gotten to a point with our pricing where it's where it should be. Once we release the general production pricing for the Model Y, I think we're at a really good point. Particularly with the refinements on the upgraded vehicle, it's exceptional value for the money." Tesla has officially initiated the process for the certification and homologation of the Model 3 and the Model Y in India. Joe Tetmeyer gave us an update at Giga Texas today on St. Patrick's Day, telling us there are now 6 Cybercabs rolling around the factory. You may be encouraged to hear that Daniel Pounder, the 24-year-old who threw the Molotov cocktails at Tesla superchargers, has been arrested and arraigned. And while it likely won't come to this, he does face a maximum sentence of 20 years in federal prison. Audi is set to cut up to 7,500 jobs in Germany by 2029. Its CEO said Audi must become faster, more agile, and more efficient. What's clear is that this will not be possible without staff adjustments. We now have Honda and Suzuki who will be joining the emissions pool with Tesla for 2025 to comply with EU rules. Those are two new additions joining the current list of Stellantis, Toyota, Ford, Mazda, and Subaru. They're all set to buy credits from Tesla, yes, still in 2025. Something else to look forward to, Elon said Starship departs for Mars at the end of next year, carrying Optimus. If those landings go well, then human landings may start as soon as 2029, although 2031 is more likely. BYD just unveiled its next-gen EV platform. Not only that, but it started pre-sales of the first two models based on this platform. It's called the Super E platform, and it consists of Blade batteries that support ultra-fast charging, high-performance new motors, and a new generation of silicon carbide chips. BYD is calling these new batteries flash charge batteries, saying it has a 10C charging multiplier, which just means a battery can charge to full in 1/10 of an hour, or put another way, in 6 minutes. With these redesigned Blade batteries, it now allows for charging power up to 1,000 kilowatts or 1 megawatt. As we know, most charging stations won't even have that type of output, but BYD will begin the construction of supercharging stations that support 1,000 kilowatts of power, with plans to build more than 4,000 facilities. The first two vehicles to be built on this platform, the Han L and the Tang L, both full EVs. BYD will officially launch these models at a new launch event in early April. These are truly incredible numbers. As always, I will say, 1, let's wait and see what the real world testing looks like, and 2, we always have to wonder what the trade-offs are, if any, with these new battery packs. To get this type of charging speed, is there going to be a trade-off in battery longevity? Tesla stock closed the day at $238.01, down 4.79%, while the NDX was up 0.55%. It was a slightly higher volume day, trading about 14% above the average. Don't forget, check out Surfshark linked below for those interested, and as always, I cannot thank you enough for supporting the channel in that way. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.